Um, so with that, I'm going to pass on to Susan Border, who I suspect may be known to many of you here, who's going to talk about the Internet Archive backup at the Michigan Digital Preservation Network. So, Susan, are you ready to go? That looks good. I think your mic is still muted, Susan, at the moment. Yeah, there we
I'm
go.
unmuted now, right?
Okay. Yeah,
Yep.
wonderful. Can see
Okay.
your desktop. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yes. Yay. I am doing a brave thing here. I'm going to do a live demo. So bear with me. Could be a little bumpy, but we'll give it a whirl. As Michael said, I'm Susan Borda. I work for the University of Michigan Library, and I am the in the digital preservation group, small but mighty group. And this is talking about our process for backing up things that we have in Internet Archive because I don't know, I'm sure we've all experienced Internet Archive outages, and so we wanted to make sure that we weren't completely stuck if the Internet Archive should go down. So this is my little process from of going from Archive It to Michigan DPN, which is the Michigan Digital Preservation Network. Um, I have some links and I will share this in the. I cannot access the chat. Yes, I can. Here we are. You can kind of walk along with me, not quite in the same document I'm in because I don't want a bunch of like little animals popping up. So anyway, so here it is. We're just going to rip through this Google Doc, which is kind of my script. It's a little ugly, but basically this is the general process over here on the left. And you'll also note that I changed my temperature to Celsius for the international audience. Um, anyway, so we start with things in Internet Archive. Basically, you're looking for the crawl ID, then you're getting the work.gz file. You're using curl, wget, and then PyWACZ, and then eventually using DART, and then it's done. But there are some optional things that you can do to run something locally. I am also like Elizabeth, I am not a computer scientist or computer engineer. I am kind of a bit of a hack and a self-taught kind of person. So anyway, I just wanted some of this is in this lovely article from Archive It about how to download your work files, but there's some things in here that I just am walking through it with you because this toolbar is really in my way. I don't know how I move it. Anyway, um, I just thought I'd walk, kind of go through physically a bit how to go through this because it starts with that, and then what do you do with the files after you get them, basically. So for me, I start out, I am not the one that does the collecting or decides what's in our collection, whatever. So this was all kind of new to me. I'm more of a back end kind of a person. So we will go through elections in Africa. I picked this one ahead of time. Yes, I've already done it, so it's like a cooking show, but I wanted to show you that this one, because it's small, but it kind of allows me to go through the whole process. So um, anyway, so what I'm doing here is I'm picking the collection from our collections. And then I'm going to the crawling history of this one so we could see this is the nugget that you really need, are these crawl IDs. Um, you don't need the seeds, you don't need the collection, but here are the crawl IDs. And feel free to put stuff in chat. I probably won't see it just yet, but also happy to follow up. Anyway, so here we are. We've looked at the seed, we've got our crawl ID. So you're kind of going to two different places here. One is sort of the front end to get some of the basic information, and then you're going to kind of the back end, which is Wasapi, which is their API tool. And this is what it looks like. This is just in kind of a JSON output. This is kind of discussed in that article from Archive It. But basically, you want this file. And in this case, it gives you the count. There are three from this particular crawl. From the other crawl, there's only one. And just so you know, there is pagination. It will only show you 100 at a time. And it does discuss pagination in that article. It is something to be aware of because how Archive It does it, it doesn't allow for these WARC-GZ files to be greater than a gig. So just bear that in mind. You may have a pile if you're doing a larger site. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that interface so you would be able to read it and see that, oh, okay, kind of get some frame of reference of how many files you should be expecting and whatnot. So in this case, for crawl 1993810, there are three WARC-GZ files. So now we're getting into the kind of dicey part here, but this is where we're using curl and wget. So I've got some notes here. Sudo super user is key here. In fact, this has been like a couple weeks since I've run through this. I went through it yesterday and I'm like, why is this thing not working? I didn't use sudo su, which is super user. Could kick myself, but I did learn to luge on Saturday in my own defense, so I've had kind of a busy few days here. Anyway, and you also need this JQ-lang thing, which comes up here, which allows you to kind of fill this list URL text file with all these URLs of where to telling wget where to go to get these actually work files. So let's do this. It's very exciting. Buckle up. So sudo, this is what things look like right now. I don't have anything here. I do in the test folder. I thought if things went really bad, I could move over there. But so sudo su, let's see if I can type in my password while the world is watching. Yep, I cannot. Lovely. Um, oh, yes, there we are. So when you're a super user, you're in the same place. And thank you. Thank you so much, Apple, for creating that hidden file for me. Anyway, so annoying. I know those of you in the digital preservation community are also annoyed by that because it shows up all the time. But anyway, so this, I've pre-packed these curl things with, this is the crawl, but also, so this is being recorded. Normally, this would have a username and password in here, but I'm using a config file, so we're not showing the world my username and password. So anyway, let's run this. Boom. Okay. Now let's run this. So that got things from the first crawl, and then this is getting things from the second crawl and appending it to that same. When you have double arrows like this, it means append. Otherwise, you would wipe out that first list that you just pulled down. So just some little nuggets if you don't do this a lot or you haven't done it before. Anyway, so now we're done with that. And we also still, before I get ahead of myself, because I nearly did it, you still need to be in sudo su to run wget for this. So now what we're doing is we're running through that list file that you made, and we're actually pulling the work.gz files live online, pulling the work.gz files. If you wanted to see what that other list looked like, here it is. But see, it's got all the files in it listed out. And here they are with under the job ID. The job ID matches up with the crawl ID. So we have three from the one and one from the other one. Um, anyway, I don't know if this chat is for me or not. No, fortunately not. Okay. Anyway, so this actually doesn't take too long. I tried to pick one with smallish files, but I wanted you to kind of see how this looks when it's coming down so that you can see that, oh, okay, it does give you some updates and whatnot. And if you don't have your correct username and password in there, then it gives you a 401 unable to access kind of thing. So now, finally, we can get out of sudo su. And here they are. Ta-da. Yay, they're down. And this is where that article ends. So this extra little nugget, and I have some information in here and also in the GitHub thing about if you have like a load of crawl IDs, you will want to use a bash script to pull them and then run through that process. Otherwise, it's a bit of a lifestyle choice. So anyway, I've included this bash script for you in my GitHub so that you don't have to do it yourself, or it gives you some idea. And here's the need to check for crawls greater than 100 because yes, pagination is a thing, and you'll have to use a slightly different process. It does explain it in that lovely archive it article. So now we're going to use um, PyWACZ, which will basically combine all of these work.gz files into one WACZ file. Here's the thing though, if you do this now, like I did this, first started working on this, like, I don't know, a couple years ago, I guess. And they haven't updated PyWACZ in a while. So the code references a different version of setup tools or something along those lines. So I made an issue for them, and it also includes the solution. So if you're trying to install it, just know that you need to tell your basically your Python system or whatever to install a slightly different version, an older version of setup tools, or else you won't be able to install it, which is really frustrating. Anyway, so here we are. Let's grab this WACZ create, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a WACZ file called African elections. This dash O means output, and the file, we're going to have it look right where we are. We're not doing anything fancy here. I mean, if I had other random work.gz files, this would be a problem, but since we're all kind of organized here, it's together. And that detect pages is important because otherwise it doesn't quite show up right. And then I wanted to particularly show this to you because you're thinking, none type, crap's not going to come through. What is going on here? Some of this is actually from, probably a versioning issue again, but also has to do with things like Facebook and other stuff not quite showing up right. So anyway, it goes through. I mean, it's quick. So now we have this cool new file. Ta-da! So this is not exactly um, a what? LS minus, oh, LS, LA, there we go. And this is giganto size. So anyway, this WACZ file is not quite the total of these other ones, but you can see that it is larger, and so that you have indeed combined these files. And boy, I am ripping right through this. Excellent. Anyway, so then the other part of my process is I make a basic metadata.txt file to go with this because, we love our metadata. We wouldn't be anywhere without it. Here it is in my cooking program. I've already opened it up for you. Actually, I think I do already have it open. Anyway, so this is what it looks like. Um, I've just filled this stuff in manually. I'm not doing anything fancy here, but I'm pulling this information from Archive It. Unfortunately, it does not seem to be a cool way to export this information from Archive It, so it is a bit of a manual process. And then I use DART with the MDPN configuration, and I save my bag with this thing because of how MDPN works. I think Chelsea's on the call today, so she could clear things up. But those of us that use it, each have a 2 or 3 letter code. So that's what that is. And then this is my collection. And then these are the seeds. So that if we need to knit these back together, which, we may not, but it's just some way of identifying it for us. I am not going to run through DART because DART actually has some really great instructions and it'll probably vary for everyone. But just wanted to show you, I do have my MDPN staging. I could show you my job, but I've changed computers in the past couple weeks and I did not back that up, that version up. Anyway, so here's the next thing. Here's something cool. If you want to run this thing locally, you could take that same WACZ file and you can have it in, you just make this basic HTML. You've got to don't download some files from the replay web, folks. Just a couple files, but here's just sort of a basic thing. There's a JavaScript and a CSS, and some stuff specific to them. And this is kind of how it's all organized. Let's see, that's this. Oh, I wanted to show you. This is the post Dart example. So this is how this thing would look. This is a different one, different collection and different seed, but this is how things look. So everything's in that I just put in would be in this data folder. Anyway, so this is how this thing ends up looking. Ta-da! Look at that. This in replay web. And so if you want to say, Susan, that looks just like what's online. What are you doing? Well, let's look at this. This is from actually what it looked like in June of 2024 up here. So if you wanted to look for particular pages, and this is where that detect pages comes in. This is where that helps you with all of that. So I'm going to stop sharing now and stop chatting too quickly and see if anybody has anything to say.
Oh, thanks, Susan. That's
Yep,
yeah, you're definitely channeling your inner master chef there, because you're sort of
made it. Good
showing your knife
timing.
skills and everything. So that's brilliant. Yeah, there's a couple of questions that have come into the chat. I don't know if you can
Yeah.
see them at the moment. So I think the first key one is from Hillary Wang, who says, "How do you handle ongoing crawls with this workflow, or do you only download the WARCs and combine them when a seed's no longer being crawled?"
It's part B there. Basically, what we're doing is we're backing up things currently that are no longer online in the world. So we have it in archive it, but maybe it's not the original website is not up. I'm using this for good site, I think is still actually up. This is my first example run through, but we do have some others that no longer are published. And so that's, yeah, that would be an ugly thing if I had to keep updating this. But actually, I think there is a way to update the WACZ file, but I haven't tried that in a while. So anyway, but I wanted to share this so that you could see some of the niddly pitfalls that maybe are not well articulated places. All right, let's see. Thank you, Elizabeth. I appreciate it. FYI, I've used the other RQA partner API. Oh, good. Thank you. I will keep that in mind, Andrew. Thank you. I appreciate that. How are you auditing if a website is not? That is not me. That is some other human. I don't know. We have selectors that have chosen these websites, and generally they're the ones that make us aware that, hey, this thing is no longer available online. Now we have kind of other stuff for things that are no longer, I mean, that are handled outside of Archive It, but this is just my process for Archive It. Wow, okay, just a couple questions. That's easy. Yay. Okay,
Okay. So maybe I'm just being stupid. Um,
please.
uh, uh, so what was the thinking behind taking a separate copy of Michigan? And have you found that the works that you've archived in the Michigan Digital Preservation Network, have they got out of sync with the ones that are in Archivit? Maybe something's happened at the Archivit end and you've kind of like, alarm bells
Nope,
ring,
we're
or just
like we're just doing the ones that are no longer being updated. So there shouldn't be an out of sync issue,
okay, okay,
ideally. If something does crop up again, I mean, hopefully our eagle eye selectors are on the case and we would probably do another one, but again, only when that thing is no longer when it's no longer being crawled, when it's no longer available publicly. if you wanted to back up a site that is still live, could you do the point in time downloads having one a year, for example? Probably, yeah. Carol, thank you. Go Gophers. Yeah, that's probably how we could do it.
And sorry, so what made you decide to do this? As I say, have you sort of is it
I
something
don't
you
have
don't know
anything
about
else
the
in
future
my
of? No,
I,
is it the future of Archivit? Do you know something, or you just worry if it ever did disappear, we would need
well, it's
these?
just that the Internet Archive and Archive.it are, constantly under threat,
Hmm.
of being sued and whatnot. And, it was down for a couple weeks. What was that, last summer, the summer
Yep.
before? So this is that sort of behavior is what led us to try to establish another workflow where we could get this sort of thing offline. And then another thing is like, well, if that thing is permanently offline, how are people going to be able to see these sites? So that's why I went through the process of setting up, how you would use the WACZ to make your own offline, that you could run it offline. The other thing to note about that, because there's a sticky wicket in Replay Web in their version, and I have a note about it, um, you can't just run the basic HTTPS, like the real basic one. I'm running Apache for mine. Otherwise, it won't run because they've got some thorny thing in there. So, and I have looked at making these containers for Docker to see if that would be easier for end users. And that doesn't seem to be a whole lot, doesn't seem to save us like technical overhead. So just kind of being basic about like, hey, here's a basic HTML, plug your thing in, and then you can run it if you want. Oh, how long did it
Okay,
take you to
thank
get
you.
them with this command? I am a command line kind of person. I'm not a computer scientist. I am nerdy. So I have kind of been working, I use both GUI and command line. So this didn't take me that long. I use Bash script a lot. Um, yes, those outages with it really made us consider Plan B. Yep, yep, exactly, Elizabeth.
Okay, and is there? You said that there's a kind of like a selection process on deciding which
Yep,
works you pull from Archivit.
yep.
Um, is it, what form does that take? Is it kind of completely open, or is it like, oh, we've got so many, terabytes or petabytes of storage we can use? How do we allocate it? Or this is fundamental to what we do at Michigan, so we want this stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
we've been using kind of these the web archiving to augment our collections because we're not 600 years old. We're like a couple hundred years old. Um, so but we have got a lot of old white guys, a lot
Yeah.
of regular normal stuff in our collection. So we're kind of use web archive to get things that are a little bit more ephemeral and from other groups that are maybe not well represented in our collection. But that's totally on the selector side. That is way out of my realm.
Okay.
But yeah, happy to chat with anybody. Yeah, here's my photo from Saturday where I was here, let me share back again. Here's my photo from Saturday where I was in the luge. Anyway, but if anybody needs to get a hold of me, sport@umish. I'm also on Mastodon as Mutant Thumb.
Okay. That's fantastic. But we'll look out for you in the Winter Olympics 2030 then, shall we?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Probably the senior games.
that's the
But yeah.
target.
Yep.
Oh, Daniel said the same thing. Oh, great minds.
Yep. There we go.
Right. Wonderful. Thank you, Suzanne. And